All right, let's go. So, welcome to another episode of eCom Reality, where we talk all things e-commerce, Shopify, ads, email, CRO, and everything in between. So, in this one, I want us to talk about something that's more general and most likely even more important, because business is just part of our life. However, as we know, life is actually more important. That's why you actually have a business, to have a better life. You don't have a life just to have a business, just like with eating. Usually you probably eat in order to actually feel good and survive, and not the other way around. You don't live just to eat. So with that being said, I want to talk about the concept of locking in, and exactly right now in the summer. And that is because right now we're coming off Prime Day from Amazon, or even for many ecom brands. We're coming off 4th of July, so we're coming off quite a few holidays, let's say, sales holidays. And the thing is that right now I'm actually seeing sales being lower for many ecom brands, which is normal. So this is something that we need to be aware of and understand what we need to do, because right now I actually talk about being locked in because I'm back home, as you can see. My usual streets here, routine, everything. And I'm just coming off an event in Barcelona. You might have seen in the last two videos, and it was a great event. Met quite a few people, enjoyed traveling, being in a new environment and everything, but at the same time, I can't say that there was a lot of progress in the business, or at least not anything visible, because yeah, the connections are great. Something might happen in the future, took some takeaways and everything, but right now part of it is actually taking something out of it, actually going over the notes and then transforming those into action steps. And that means that right now there needs to be more focus on the actual work, talking with people, talking about business, looking at the metrics, because someone has to look at the metrics and understand what's happening and what needs to be done. And interestingly enough, somehow, exactly around these events, it seems like I'm getting intros, new opportunities. You could even call it karma to some extent, even though I just believe it's mostly due to the fact that opportunities appear eventually, right? And it can be a coincidence in most cases that it appears later after you've actually put in the most work, right? Because when you're actually out and about, you don't work as much, at least not being online and everything. So actually Friday, last day in Barcelona, Saturday left in the morning, had a call with someone and they decided to work together. So new brand for the agency. And there's another chat I have basically tomorrow. Today is Sunday, tomorrow is Monday. And another ecom brand, interesting one. And yeah, things just stack up, as you can see, right? And this doesn't even have anything to do with the event, right? Because even after the event, probably there can be enough connections, messages being sent to see how myself and them could work together and so on, right? Because it's still about meeting people and everything. However, meeting people, talking, that's great, but we also need to actually do something about it, right? And for example, when you're traveling, you're not really doing something about it at your computer. And as we know, in the digital world, it is about doing work in front of your computer mostly, and probably locked inside, because honestly, outside, especially with this type of weather, 33 degrees right now here, it's unlikely. Let me just open this button here because it's way too hot. Better to feel good than look professional right now. And being locked in is basically a mindset, because when you're locked in, you actually have to say no mostly. You have to say no to distractions, you have to say no to temptations, you have to say no to wasting your time unnecessarily, you have to say no to people. You just have to say no more often. And I say that because honestly, like I'm coming from level 0, let's say. So in my case, I would say I had to overwork to some extent just to get some growth for myself, right? Because I grew up without, let's say, confidence or extroverted energy or talking skills, so I had to definitely add more skills along the way, and it's still a process. I still know that I have to get way better at multiple things. Handling teams, I'm doing a decent job at that, but there's always another level. Hiring people, training people, motivating people, motivating myself probably better, networking better. So there are so many skills that you can continue to increase, right? Because one example that I give often is that there are probably 1 million Indians that could be better than me at what I'm doing, but many of them will have a hard time to actually get to the same level because they also have, let's say, a harder difficulty to some extent, right? Like I don't have the hardest difficulty of anyone in this world, right? So I'm aware that I have my own privileges by being, let's say, white, male, having enough, let's say, character development along the way, But I'm aware that it's even harder for other people who maybe have an even stronger accent. So for them, it takes more work. Maybe being born in, let's say, an even poorer family, which makes it even harder because the mindset is not there, Not like I've been born in any kind of rich family either. But let's say it's been a decent childhood overall. Even though I grew without my mom, my dad, so it's not perfect for sure. But I can say it was that bad, like even to this day, it's motivation. The fact that like I didn't grow up with much and definitely missed quite a few things during my life because I was either too shy or way too introverted, didn't like talking with people and all of that, right? So there's always something like that in everyone's life. So we need to be aware of it. But definitely had to be locked in multiple times during my life, either in college, either after finishing college and trying to find opportunities online. Even 1 year ago when I was searching for team members, even let's say 1 year before that when I was like building my agency, trying to find a new client. So there's some cash flow. And then after that cash flow, I could get new people on my team, right? So there are steps to this for sure. And to some extent, it can become easier, right? Because, for example, right now there is more cash flow, right? So it's easier for me to bring people in my team, even right now, because I have some team members. I can use some of their time for them to actually help me and the agency to find new people. So I'm actually more efficient right now because I do have a team and they also grow because this is basically a skill that you acquire talking with people, trying to hire them and everything, right? And to some extent, they're also learning and they're learning while also getting paid, right? So it's a win-win for everyone. That's what I'm also trying to do in most cases, making sure everyone wins, everyone feels good. And even in the Slack channels, everyone is super grateful for where we are right now in our team because they've grown a lot in 1 year. And I know that it's in part also due to me investing more time and being aware what are the steps that it takes to get to a certain level, right? So I also try to make sure my team is locked in whenever we overlap, because I don't want them to waste their time. I want them to make more money, to buy their own house, to have a happy family relationship, right? So that's also super important. But of course, in most cases, that's only possible when you have a small team. When you have a bigger team, could be harder because it's almost impossible in terms of time to actually meet everyone, to spend time with everyone, right? So we're still limited by time. And that's why it's super important to actually come up to the end of this video. That's why it's super important to actually lock in. Because if we don't lock in, then we won't ever get to a level where we have enough time invested into work and growing ourselves, right? Because that's what being locked in means. Just being super focused on something. And if you are focused on something, of course, that thing is likely to grow, right? Just like if you would if you would water a plant for a long enough time consistently, it will grow, right? But you can't skip 1 week entirely and then expect it to grow at the same rate, right? And just to talk about my body right now, like I'm probably in the worst shape of the year because I've been traveling for 1 week. Before that, I can't say that I've been eating like amazing. I didn't make enough steps. So this is what not being locked in means. Not sticking to your routine because you need to actually get out of it, you know? So this is where balance is super important, and knowing when to lock in and when to get out of that lock-in period, because yeah, you just need to be more relaxed sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't have to be much, but during an event, right, you don't want to bring your most serious side, because I met some people and some usually at some of these events just seem way too serious, or I don't know, like bored, you know, like at least be relaxed, you know, because there's no point in not being your best self whenever possible. So that would be what I would say as someone who tries his best to actually make sure things are being maximized: time, resources, results, everything. Perfectionist for sure, but this is how you grow eventually. So I would say that's pretty much it. I made this longer than I thought, around 12 and a few seconds here, 12 minutes and a few seconds. But I do hope this video helped you just as much as it helped me, because whenever I also make this video, it's easier to just share what's on my mind, and also make sure that I'm keeping myself accountable with almost everything that's being said here. So I would say that's it. If you like this video, you can leave a like, comment, and basically see you in the next one. Peace out.